miss your call. I don't get near my phone.
Pray for us. Please, I need silence in this class. Okuchuku, I'm waiting for you. Okuchuku. The floor is open. Pray for us, please. Unmute yourself and pray. Please, Okuchuku, now.
She said you should pray.
Pray now. Okay, Chuku, can you hear me? Okay, let somebody else pray because of our time. If you want to pray, raise up your hand and let me permit you. Who wants to pray? Okay, Ebo, pray for us, please.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
In the mighty name of Jesus.
Amen.
Father, thank you for keeping us alive. Thank you for making us to see this
Thank you,
day. Father,
Jesus.
Lord, as we start this lesson, Father, come into your hands in the mighty name of Jesus.
Amen.
Father, this lesson shall go well in the mighty name of Jesus.
Amen.
Father, teach us everything we are going to learn today in the mighty name of Jesus.
Amen.
In Jesus' mighty name I've prayed.
Amen. Thank you very much. But I discovered that some of you were not saying amen. That's not so good. So let's go to the business of today. Are you still saying amen?
Yes, ma.
Your amen came so late.
I started this early morning with network.
Will you keep quiet? Okay, so what we have today is King David Wesley. Please stop toying with your rice, please. The topic for today is figures of speech. What did I call it? What did I call it? Figures of speech.
Figures of speech.
Good. So, who can tell me what a figure of speech is? Have you ever heard the word figure of speech before? Michael, be careful. Be careful, everyone. I can see your chat here, and I won't take any rubbish from you. If you disturb me this morning, I will remove you from this class, or you'll forever be in the waiting room. Okay, so what is a figure of speech? Who can give me an example of a figure of speech? I want to know whether you've heard about it before. Who is that?
It's Kenry.
Kenry, okay. Can you give me an example of a figure of speech, or you want to tell me what a figure of speech is?
I'll give you an example of a figure of speech.
Figure. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm all ears here.
A noun.
Oh, no. But you try. Clap for yourself. For raising your hand, you come to my class, you've tried. Okay.
Wow.
Let me tell you where noun belongs to.
Wow.
Just wait. Let me respond to Kenry first, please. Noun belongs to the group called parts of speech. Parts of speech are different from figures of speech. So when you say parts of speech, we have noun, we have pronoun, we have verb, adverb, adjective, your interjection, you remember? So all those belong to the group called, they have a group name. It is called parts of speech. We have speech, not figures of speech. So today we want to talk about figures of speech, not parts of speech. So who else want to tell me?
Ma.
What's your name?
Ma.
Just mention your name.
Ataimem.
Ataimem, okay, tell me. Or give me an example.
Mobot.
Irony.
Okay. Just, you said what?
Irony.
Hi, Ronnie. Thank you very much. So I think some of you have an idea of what we're going to be treating this morning. So because of that, I will advise you, just mute yourselves. Mute yourselves. Then whatever you can take down, I will advise you, anyone, because I'll be, after explaining what a figure of speech is, I'll be taking you through some of the figure of speech we have in English. So you may not copy everything, just write down that particular figure of speech, like that irony that Ataime mentioned. If I get to irony, just write irony. Write a brief explanation of what irony is, then write the examples under irony. If it is only one example you can write, just write it. So that anytime you see irony, you can link the meaning with the examples you have or the example you have. Do you get it? I'm saying this now so that you'll be serious instead of chatting. You will jot down, because after this class, I'm not promising you that you get notes. I want us to write our notes in the class. If you're not able to get your notes in the class, I am sorry, you may not be able to get this note. So don't ask me for your notes. But write your notes in the class. I think this is what we do in the normal class. We write our notes in the class. I don't come to class and I will send your notes. So I want us to do it like we are having a normal class here. Is that taking everybody? So just what you need is to know what it means and how to give an example to anything we are doing in this class. So let's move on. We don't have more time this morning. So the topic for today, as I said earlier, is figures of speech. And what we're going to be looking at, we're going to be looking at the meaning of figures of speech, examples of figures of speech, meaning of some selected figures of speech with examples. So you can quickly write this down. Meaning, if I were you, this is how to take down notes. Write your topic, figures of speech. Then the outline, number one, meaning. Just write meaning. Examples. Meaning, examples. I think that will make us go faster. Please mute yourself. Sorry, I didn't say unmute. Mute yourselves. I'm doing that for you. Okay, so we have a serious business at hand. I don't think you will have time to chat this morning. And if you have that time, that means you want to forfeit your note. So meaning, just write meaning, M-E-A-N-I-N-G. 2 examples. Then 3 selected figures of speech. Meaning of some selected figures of speech.
Ma, please, what is the topic?
Figures of speech. Are you just coming in?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, figures of speech. Figures. You know how to spell figure now in mathematics. Say figures here. Meaning of figures of speech, examples.
Yes.
Then meaning of some selected figures of speech. Please don't tell me to go back because I won't. I've told you, just pick the points.
Yes, ma.
Okay, so I move on. Figures of speech. They are also known, or they are also called literary devices. They are also called literary devices. What did I say they are also called?
Literary
Devices. Who can tell me a word that we have used in the class that is similar to this word literary? Which word is that? There's a particular word we've used in the class which is similar to this word literary. Ezra, do you want to tell us? Do you want to tell us? Should you actually do what? Have you ever heard the word literature before? Who has heard the word literature before? Chibuke. Okay, good. So from the word literature, we get this word literary. So this means it's from literature. They are literary devices. They are devices used in literature. And they are also called poetic. So instead of saying figures of speech, you can call them literary devices or poetic devices, from poetic. The person that writes a poem is called what? If you write a poem, you will be called which name? A poet. So from the word, you have an idea of what poet is, what a poet is. So poetic, that means used even in poems too. Poets, they use figures of speech. Do you understand it now? So let's go into it. In poetry, that is the study of poem. Poetry is the study of poems. In poetry, words are used in such a way to deepen. You know what it means for something to be deep, don't you? Don't you? Have you forgotten your question tag? Do you know what it means for something to be deep?
Yes,
Okay. So in poetry, words are used in such a way to deepen the meaning and bring out the beauty in poetic expressions. So when you just want to be creative with whatever you want to say. You don't want to say it like a normal way people say it. You want to be creative about it. Then you will have to use figures of speech. So it brings about creativity. You don't just say it like somebody that didn't go to school. There are some words that people who didn't go to school at all, they don't know how to use them. So because you went to school, you studied literature in English, you will be able to be creative with your use of language. So that is the summary of what we are trying to say here. Let's move on. I've told you, just pick the points. When words are used in such a way, they bring out the hidden meaning. So whenever you are using words figuratively, creatively, then you want to bring out some hidden meaning, some meanings that are not really open to everybody, except people who have the knowledge of literature. So it brings out the hidden meaning, and they are referred to as figures of speech. They are also referred to as poetic devices or literary
please, how?
devices. Yes.
Please, how?
You said what?
How?
You will see how. You can't really understand this until we start treating them one after the other. So don't be too anxious. Don't be too anxious. So let's move to the examples of literary devices we have. Examples of figure. Don't forget, anytime I say literary device, I still mean figures of speech. If I call it poetic devices, I still mean figures of speech. So we have three names, we call them. Aninure, mention one of the three names we call literary devices. One is already literary devices, so mention one out of the remaining two. It can also be called what? Aninure. Aninure, be fast. Unmute yourself and tell me. Instead of calling them literary devices, what other name? I can't hear you. Unmute yourself, dear. Unmute yourself.
Mommy.
No, let Aninure talk. Let Aninure talk, please.
Ma.
If you are not Aninure, don't talk. Aninure, where are you? Aninure, I'm still waiting for you.
Yes.
He's not talking. Okay, so.
Ma.
Toby, you raised your hand. Tell me one. Please, let's be silent.
Literature.
No, you don't call it literature. You can call it literary devices. Devices used in literature, literary devices. You tried. But you rather call it literary devices, or what? Figures of speech, or literary devices, figures of speech, or what? Poetic devices. So if I were you by now, I would have written the three. Figures of speech, or literary devices, or poetic, from the word poet, poetic devices. So we have the examples here. We have the first one, which is simile, metaphor. The second one, irony, synecdoche, alliteration, assonance, personification, hyperbole, oxymoron, paradox, and euphemism. If you are not able to write all this, don't be bothered. I told you earlier, if you came into this class very early, I told you, don't be bothered. Just write the points. Don't forget that if you're not able to write this now, I will start taking them one after the other, even though I won't be able to take all of them today, but I will take some. So whenever I'm taking them one after the other, you'll be writing their name. Don't bother to write everything now, because I'm moving to the next slide now. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Quickly write it down. Simile. Simile. A simile is an imaginative, indirect comparison. If I were you, I would just write that. Just only this first line. A simile is an imaginative, indirect comparison. Then I will join it with an example so that I won't forget. So let me explain further. A simile is an imaginative, indirect comparison in which a thing or person is compared to another. When you compare one thing or a person with another thing or another person with the use of like or has. I'm very sure you have come across this before now, maybe in your primary school. So whenever you are comparing two things with the use of as or like, what you are using, the figure of speech or the poetic device or the literary device you are using at that point in time is called simile. Is that taking everybody? It's very simple, so easy to take down. So a simile is an indirect comparison when you compare two things or two persons indirectly with the use of as or like. Don't forget, you are using figure of speech, simile. So let's see the examples we have. Night is not like the day. If I were you, I would write these examples down. Maybe one, at least one of them. Night is not like the day. Toby, you are distracted. What's going on there? Night is not like the day. So you are comparing night with day using comparison. Comparison with the use of as or like. The second one, the righteous is as bold as a lion. Amaka, well done. I can see you writing. The righteous is as bold as a lion. They are as poor as church rats. Not you. They are as poor as... Ezra, are you writing? Are you writing?
I'm done writing.
Okay. They are as poor as... So these are examples of simile. So whenever you want to compare two different things using as or like, you are using simile. Don't forget, simile, indirect comparison with the use of as or like. So we move to the next one because of our time. I've told you, you don't need to copy everything. You don't need it at all. The next one is metaphor. Metaphor. Metaphor is similar. I want you to write this down too, so that you can compare simile with metaphor. Because we use these two figures of speech in English, we use them greatly. So you need to know the similarities and the differences between the two. A metaphor is an imaginative. I'm very sure you saw imaginative when we were treating simile. So a metaphor is also an imaginative but direct comparison. I'm trying to make you see the difference between a simile and a metaphor. In simile, we said a simile is an imaginative, indirect. You know what it means for something to be indirect? It means not direct. But this one, a metaphor is an imaginative, direct comparison of two things or persons. A metaphor is similar to simile, but without the use of as or like. So that is what makes this one direct. You are comparing two things or two persons directly without using has or like. Instead of saying somebody is behaving like a goat now, that should be simile. If I say, I don't want to mention any of your names so that you won't be hungry. If I say, the dog behaves like a goat, that means that is simile because I'm comparing the character, the behavior of the dog with that of the goat. But if I now say the dog is a goat, I'm still comparing, but comparing directly. Who is that? I've told you, if I don't ask you to unmute yourself, don't do that, please.
I'm not the people security on the road to be collecting money from people. As long as you have the movement.
Okay. So a metaphor is an imaginative direct comparison of two things or persons. A metaphor is similar to simile, but without the use of as or like. Please, if you are okay, let me just. Please, I need you to keep muted. Please, I need you to keep muted. I don't want to hear anything from your hand there. Please, it's distracting me. Is that taking everybody? Is that taking everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to hear any background noise, please. Please.
Yes, ma'am.
This is eating out of our time, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's move on. So instead of saying he behaves like a lion or he is as bold as a lion, I would rather say he is a lion. So whenever I'm comparing somebody or something directly with another thing or another person, I'm using metaphor. What am I using? Whenever I'm doing direct comparison, I'm using what?
Metaphor.
No metaphor.
Metaphor.
Thank you. I'm using metaphor. So you can see the difference between metaphor and simile.
Metaphor.
Thank you. I've heard you. Thank you so much. So whenever I'm comparing directly, I'm using metaphor. Whenever I'm comparing indirectly, I'm using what? Whenever I'm comparing two things or persons indirectly, I'm using what?
Simile.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That means you are following. So let's move to the next one. I'm sure you must have written the examples down.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So don't ask me for
Yes,
your
ma'am.
notes. Don't ask me for notes. Oh. That's what I'm taking my time to explain and allow you write out the points. Irony.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see what an irony is. Please, after responding to me, just mute yourself so that I won't have to do that for you. Mute yourself, please.
They can go into him.
Somebody is still
Ma'am, please
unmuted.
continue.
I don't like noise, it distracts me. That's why I ask you to keep muted. So whenever you are unmuted, just know that you want to distract your class. Who is that again?
So it won't. Then you have to come here and all.
Who is this?
No matter when, they have mentioned when he started, showed him when he started.
Ikechukwu. 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 I thought I said you should keep muted. So the noise is coming from you. Ezra. Ezra,
Yes, ma.
what's going on there?
Ma, nothing.
Please, I just want to see you. I think I can see two persons there. I just want to see you in the screen, please.
Okay,
So
ma.
let's move on. Irony. Have you written that down? This is a literary device in which the opposite of what is meant is said. You know, sometimes we play with language. Sometimes we play with language. You want to say something about somebody. You want to say somebody is very bad. Instead of saying that person is bad, you will say that person is very good. Have you ever done that before? Ah, he's a very good boy.
Yes, ma.
But you know deep inside you that you wanted to say the person is bad. So whenever you are saying the opposite of what you mean, the literary device or the figure of speech you are using at that point is irony. Toby, what is wrong? Are you hungry? I can see you. I can see your, what will I call it? Your drama. So whenever you mean something else, and you are saying the opposite of what you mean, the literary device or the figure of speech that you are using at that point is irony. Irony means the opposite of what is meant. So if I were you, I'll just write that down. The opposite of what is meant equals to irony. So the first example we have here is the reckless driver drove himself to paradise. The reckless driver drove himself to paradise. You can't be a reckless driver, die in a very terrible, that person died in a very terrible way. Instead of saying, you said what? You said what?
I can't see your screen.
You can't see my screen. That should be from your end. Toby, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma.
Okay, so please tell someone around you to help you out.
Ikech, commit your device.
Please. I don't need you to tell Ikechukwu to mute. Let me tell him myself, please. So irony is the opposite of what you mean. Saying the reckless driver drove himself to paradise. You know, it's not possible for you to be reckless and still find your way into paradise. Those two words are contradictory. The two are contradicting each other. You can't be reckless and think you are on your way to paradise. That means that person died terribly while driving. So you can't say that that person drove himself to paradise. No. So you are saying the opposite of what you wanted to say. Maybe you wanted to say that person drove himself. The driver drove himself to hell because he was reckless. He wasn't careful. So the second example, you must be a very brilliant student to have passed the examination with low grades. Is it possible? You are very brilliant and that made you pass with low grades. Is it possible? So this low grades, what you have in your mind is not low grades. It's not very brilliant, rather. You mean that person must be very dull. You understand? So this is like, we use irony sometimes when we want to mock people. It's used most times to mock, for mockery. Maybe you think if you are muted, you won't hear me. No. If you are muted, you will hear me clearly. That doesn't mean you won't hear me, but I won't be able to, your noise will not be able to distract, and background noise will not be able to distract me. Please, I don't like distractions. So let's move on to the next one, synecdoche. Synecdoche. I think it's good to be obedient. It will do you a whole lot of good if you're obedient to simple instructions. To do you a whole lot of good. Synecdoche. This is a literary device in which a part of something represents a whole. This is a literary device in which a part of something represents a whole. Are you done writing that? Because I will move to the next one now. Synecdoche is a literary device in which a part of something represents a whole. Example, Nigeria won the Under-17 World Cup. I'm sure you must have heard this before. Who won the World Cup? It's Nigeria. And you are a Nigerian, you were not there. And this statement has captured you as if you are part of those who went for the match. So when you use a part of something to represent a whole, you are using a team of under-17 players to represent the whole of Nigeria, the whole of Nigerians rather. Then what you are using is synecdoche. What you are using is synecdoche. Please, for the very last time, if I get to know that you are the one distracting this class, I will tell you what I will do before doing it, so that when I'm done doing it, you won't ask me questions. I will keep you till the end of this class. I will keep you in the waiting room. That's what I will do, because I will not want to remove you. So let me just discover that you are the one. I'll take my time to do that. Is that Toby? Toby?
Ma?
Okay, please keep muted. It's not you. Ikechukwu again? Ikechukwu?
Ma?
Ikechukwu, let this be your last time of getting unmuted. I will keep you in the waiting room. Can't you hear me? As you're unmuted. You can hear me now, so why are you tampering with it? Keep muted, please. I don't want to hear any background noise. I'm waiting for you. Good. The next time you try that, I will keep you in the waiting room. Nigeria. Please keep quiet. Nigeria, you are using a team of under-17 players to represent the whole of Nigeria. So the next one, for many eyes are watching you there. You are using eyes to represent people, a part of their body to represent. What part of the body do we use to see? Is it not our eyes? But have you ever seen only eyes? If you see only eyes, will you not run? So whenever you say many eyes are watching, you mean many people are watching. Do you get it now? Do you get it now? So, well, right now I will do something. I'm about to do something.
Ma, I can't hear you.
You can hear me? Okay, you hear me very soon. I'm about doing something.
I can't hear you.
Don't worry, you hear me very soon. I'm about to do something now, so my video will be off. Just be patient, please, for a very few minutes. And keep going over your work, because you will have an assessment immediately after this class. Is that taken? So go over your work. You won't be able to see me for now, please. I really want to do something now.
Okay, ma. Okay, ma.
And I'm checking your chat. As I'm doing that thing, I'm checking your chat. So you can continue chatting.
I cannot hear. But it's not. Ma, I can't. Ma, I can't hear you.
That's
Let me clap.
foolishness.
Yeah. Ma, I can't hear you.
You should not teach. I've left the class.
And microphone is on. Ma, I can't hear you.
She
Ma,
left
I
the
can't
class.
hear you.
She left the class. So
Some
you
people need
said
to go to psychiatric hospital
she left the
instead. You know,
class.
leave the class, you stay in class, but you just off her video. Enemy of progress.
Quiet.
Class will soon end.
I'm very
7%.
Ma, I can't hear you.
Hey!
Okay, class. I'm back. I'm back.
I'm trying to
Okay. Can you see me now?
Yes,
You were
ma'am.
busy talking, chatting, Abby.
Yes, ma'am.
Please, I will send this slide to you. I'll send this slide to you.
You have this thing.
Can't you just keep quiet?
Okay, ma.
Okay.
You should shut up now for
I
what?
want to see you. Please do everything you want to do now. I can see all of you now. What's the meaning of this? What's wrong? JS1. Please, I will send the slide to you. Then in the next class, we will summarize this, please. For today, I don't think we will have it more than this, please. So any moment from now, I will end the class. But I just want to ask a question from somebody. Who can give me an example of a simile? Who can give me an example of a simile? Quickly, please. Toby.
Auntie me.
You are
Auntie
yawning
me.
undercover. Who wants to give me an example?
Auntie me.
Okay.
Ma.
Okay, I can hear you.
Ma. There are as poor as